step to me. Check it.
So don't click off just yet. We are in FL Studio, but this is just because of how old this project actually is. It's between a year and a half to 2 years old, and it was back when I was using FL. So the reason I'm making this video today is that I just kind of want to get across that you should always keep your projects, even if you think they might be crap at the time, or you work on them for so long and then you decide, you know what, this isn't working. This wasn't the case for this track. I actually do still like this track, but the thing I don't like about it is the drums, and I always had it in my mind that I would eventually revisit it. So I thought it'd be a good video to kind of show the process of potentially taking an old project and then sprucing it up. So the way I like to do it is you can do this in any DAW, even if you made it in Ableton to begin with, you could do it this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce down all the tracks in here. So we've got 21, it's not a lot, and then use those as stems in a new project in Ableton, because I like working with Ableton now than I do FL. But I'll give you a quick listen to the track as it was. So let's start it from here. Skip it ahead a little bit to the breakdown.
Come on over if you wanna have a good time. No more playing around, but now's the time to cross the line. Show me what's inside that soul, I'll let you feel mine. Come on over if you wanna have a good time. Come on over if you wanna have a good time. No more playing around, but now's the time to cross the line. Show me what's inside that soul, I'll let you feel mine. Come on over if you wanna have a good time. If you wanna, 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 wanna. Come on over if you wanna have a good time.
Okay, so that's the project basically, and like I said, it is quite old at this point, and one of the other problems with that is that certain files haven't loaded in. To be honest, I've got lucky really. It's only a couple of things and a couple of VSTs that haven't loaded as well, as I am on a new machine now as well. Vocal Synth 2 actually doesn't exist and is meant to be on the vocals, but that's something that I can re-add when I'm in Ableton. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to certain parts of the track and solo it. So let's use the vocal for example. I'd noticed that we do have some echo boy on it, and what I might want to do in certain cases is take those effects away, so then I can just reapply them and remix them in Ableton. So that's what I will now do. I'll just go through and do it with the vocals as an example. Another thing to think of is all the automation that's happening.
If you wanna, 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 wanna. Come on over if you wanna have a good time.
Yeah, I think a lot of these are fine. Like maybe we take the EQs off. Vocal synth's obviously not on there. The peak, that's interesting. I'll probably keep that on because that's quite an important part. Take the kickstart off. The balance is what's being automated to make that noise, so that needs to stay on. And then the filter, We got the filter down there. So I'll take that off too, because I can do that in, and it's only a little bit there. I can do that in Ableton. I might wanna change it up. So yeah, I think that's fine for the vocal. Let's listen to the other parts. So the sequence bit. Just has kickstart on it, so I'll turn that off, and then I can re-add that in afterwards. We've got the synth stab. Now, because this is quite short, I think I'll just keep the effects on this one. Maybe take the delay off. Keep the phaser on. Ozone Imager is one of the plugins that doesn't work anymore. This is what the CQ doing, just getting rid of the lows, take that off. Kickstart, take that off. Yeah, I'm going to keep the filter on because what I can also do when I bounce this down to audio is that I can just, if I want to change it, like there's a version of it here where it's fully opened up. There's a version of it there where it's fully opened up, so I can still work with that, so that's not a problem. Yeah, let's check out this glitchy sequence. Quite a lot going on here. That's being compressed. I'd take the compressor off. I'd rather do that again. The kickstart can come off. The balance is doing the same thing as before with these peak controllers. The filter. Got a delay on it too. What's being automated? The filter. Okay, so we'll keep the filter on because it's rather consistent all the way through, and I can't imagine me needing to change that much. So this is what I would do. I'd go through the entire project and just make sure that I'm happy with the parts that I want to modify, and make sure all the effects are off it. And then what I'd do in FL Studio is I'd go to exports. I'd then go to the WAV file. So let's go to ideas, Ableton. I'm just going to create a new folder here for this. Stems. And then we're going to do this. Put an underscore there because what will normally happen is it'll use the track names from the mixer. And then what you want to select is split mixer tracks, and then as you'll see up here, it goes from 71 megabyte to 8 gig because it's basically rendering out this whole track around 40 times. Actually no, it'll be less than that because it depends on the mixer. And you can do this, I believe, in Ableton too. I've never had to do it in Ableton yet, but I think most DAWs come with this feature these days. And then what I'd do is click start, and then it will export all the files. So what I'm going to do that now. I'm going to stop the video and then we'll get back to it in a sec. Okay, and when you're done, if you go to the folder you saved everything in, you'll see all the stems in place. Now, there's ones in here that I don't really plan on using, so what I'd normally do is just go through and get rid of them. So in this case, we can definitely get rid of the currents. In FL Studio, current means, I believe, the track as a whole, but without the master effects on it, because then you've got master down here as well. So it's almost like a pre-master and a master. But I don't need those two, so those can go in a bin. The inserts are send channels, and I'm going to redo those anyway, so I won't need those. Let's have a look through the rest of them. Drum bus, don't need that because I plan on doing that to myself again. And then there's a bass bus too, which can go away. And I believe that's all the tracks I'm going to need for rebuilding this project. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into Ableton, drop all these in, and then work from scratch again. So I've dropped all the stems into Ableton, into my templates that I like to use all the time. It's all nicely color coded, nicely arranged, low end drums, percussion, vocals, music, FX. That's the way I like to do it. And one thing to note, and this might be different from door to door, but certain stems, well, in Ableton, when you drop anything in, it'll always try and beat match it to what it thinks the BPM is. So in some cases, for like tracks like this, which have got like a bit of a groove to them, and you can see they're all kind of on a 16th kind of grid, it does a pretty good job of it. But then in other cases, so let's say the effects, for example, when it's just kind of this one area, it might get it wrong. So what I've had to do with some of these tracks is it might have came in at maybe like that, and then what a quick way of doing it is, it's not going to do it now because I've already edited it, but when you first drop something in, if you unwarp it and then warp it again, it will then re-change that to 128 beats per minute, which is what it sets you up here. And the other thing to take note of is that sometimes when that happens, the clips are a little bit like the warped, so you might need to drag them out both ends again, make sure that in some cases it might be like that and you might miss that, and then it's going to throw it off. It's going to throw it off the grid. So just make sure you fully pull everything out and then align everything and give it a quick listen. Like everything sounds correct. So now that everything's in place, I would normally kind of go through and maybe add some markers, because it's not a very visual thing right now. It's quite difficult to see where a breakdown is going to be if everything's closed, or maybe I just keep everything open, but I like to put markers down anyway. There we go. So let's do this. Okay, and then if everything's closed, I've got like a bit of a visual on where parts are in a track. So we're getting somewhere now. So the main thing I don't like about this project is the clap. It just feels like the wrong vibe for what I was going for. So if we listen to it here, I'm just going to loop this one part. Just not what I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mute it for now. Let's listen to the other parts of the drum. So I think this close tat's quite nice. It's very basic. It's got a little bit of swing to it already. So I wonder if... What I like to sometimes try is actually quantizing things to a 16th grid. So let's have a look. How do I do it now? There we go. Command-Shift-U, quantize to the current grid, which I've just set as 16th, and then everything's going to be moved. So we've got a tiny little gap there. If we zoom back in, it's gone. Now it's going to sound a bit crappy. So sometimes changing these makes it sound a little bit better. And yeah, experiment with this. Like, you've got the transient bar here, so we can make it even snappier. The point now is that we can manipulate what we have had in FL Studio and manipulate the audio further and add some more cool effects to it and interesting stuff. So I do like to experiment with the groove pools and see if that makes things a bit nicer. So we've got the swing settings. Let's try swing 65. It's normally a good one. That's quite nice. So before and now after. It's mainly only affecting these parts, which is adding the swing to it, but I mean it gives it a really nice vibe. So let's keep that. I am going to bump up the volume just so I can visually see the waveform a bit better, and then bring down that volume. So in the track it is still the same volume, but now I've got a bit better visual on the actual waveform rather than that. I believe this already had kickstart on it, so don't need to put that on it again. Let's check the EQ though, make sure that I rolled the lows off. I think I did. Oh, there's a little bit, so we'll do that again. I believe the shaker is pretty much on the grid as well, so I'm going to do the same thing again. I'll make sure I've set that to 1/16. Select the whole thing. So select the whole thing, if you did Command and A, that will select the whole thing you've selected. Same in here, so if you had like it there and you did Command A, it would do the same. And I believe that's a global command anyway, so you could use that in any program, or the majority of programs at least. So yeah, Command Shift U, let's quantize to the grid. And I believe it barely moved. Let's zoom in and do that again. Yeah, it barely moved. So it was already onto the 16th grid. So I'm just going to leave it so it doesn't cause any weird warping. And then I'm going to apply that same swing to it. Do the same as before so I can visually see it a little bit more. And we've got a swingier set of hi-hats and shakers. If I was to set that back, I'll do a little before and after. I tell you what, I can clip this. And we've got a different vibe completely. So let's hear it with the track. I'm going to put the clap back on for now just so it doesn't sound odd. Maybe too much, so I might change the groove pool. Let's try maybe. I'm gonna skip ahead just to hear it with the hi-hat. It's not a particularly nice sounding hi-hat, so I'll probably replace that too. But I'm going to keep it in the project because then I can visually see how I had it in the arrangement before, so I can apply the same stuff to it. So I need a new clap and probably need a top loop, to be honest. So let's have a look at my packs and see what I can find. I do quite like just using loops these days to get started and then to build around that. So I really love this Sydney Charles pack, it's great. So let's get back to the looped part. I am going to unsolo everything now so we can hear the full track. I'm keeping the vocal out because I need to apply the swing to certain sections. Because now I've applied swing to that and this is still in like a 16th format. It sounds odd. So I'm going to have to tinker with that, but we'll do that at another time, some time out of the video. So a new audio track, let's get going. EQing it to taste. Let's have a look at the full EQ range now. Checking in mono, the sides. Yeah, sounding good. Okay, I'm happy with the clap. Happy-ish. Still needs work, but it's a lot better than what it was. a lot more present, which is what we needed. Okay, next. They're still a bit lifeless, these drums. We need something else. So I'm going to go back to the loops and see what I can find hi-hat wise. So we were on limit hats. Where are they? There we go. This one definitely has something to it, so I'm going to stick Tantra on it because you can get some nice effects with Tantra and loops, like hi-hat loops. It can also blow your eardrums, so be careful of that. There we go, I like that. I just need to tinker with some of the settings, a bit like the delay's a bit too much. It's quite a bit of high resonance. Yep, happy with that. I'll do. Let's listen to it with the context of the song. Okay, this kick is not doing it for me either, so I do have a rack for that. So best kicks, I'm going to drop that in, and then I'm going to pick one of them. Simple. Number 4 could be the one. Yeah, alright, so I've got 4 there that I quite like. Let's cut them down even more. I like that one, but I need to sort it out. The tail's quite long. It's a bit weak. Yeah, I think one of these chunky ones is the right vibe. So let's get rid of this one. Was that the one? I can't remember. Yeah, get rid of that one. It's too soft. We want something hard. I think I'm going to change the kick. I don't, the shape of it looks too funky to me. I know it's not always about the shape, it's about how it sounds. But let's just try one of the other kicks that I've got in here. So we need to get ozone back up. Okay, I'm happy-ish with that. Let's hear it with the rest of the song. You got this weak ass kick over here. Okay, I'm gonna add a open hat, and then I'm gonna call it a day for this video, and then we're gonna come back to it another time. So what I like to do here is just look at span and just see how we're doing in terms of the shape of the sounds. Right now we've got quite a lot of around this range. Let's get it back on the go. We probably could do with some more sizzle at the top end between the 10 and the 20k range, and then there's a big dip here, which could potentially be filled up with some percussion, because we haven't really got any. Got the clap roll, but that's not really anything. So we do need to add some percussion to it. And this kick I'm still iffy about. Let's try. Make sure there's definitely no low end in this, because this bass is quite wide. I just lied to you, it's not wide at all. Don't know why I called it wide bass. Sometimes doing this makes it sound clearer. Don't ask me why. So I'm just going to create a room reverb that I like to put drums into. 100% wet. Let's get rid of the low. Bring this right down. Now let's put this in. get a really short reverb, and what I then like to do is put decapitator on it, beef it up a little bit, and then EQ it. And this just adds a little bit, even more layer on top of the drums. Sometimes I do put kickstart on it as well. Only slight though, just so it gives a little bit more room to the kick. So if we just listen to the bass and the drums. Get a little bit of sizzle on the top. I'm also going to put decapitator on the drum bus quickly. And I'm going to EQ the lows out. The thing when you're doing stuff like this, make sure that the output is roughly the same as what it was before. So you're not just making things louder and making it sound better because it's louder, because that's what our ears end up saying is better. Oh, that sounds better because it's louder, when in fact it's not. So this has been able to give the drums some bother. I mean, it's gave it too much bother because we've got stuff happening below 100 Hertz, so we need to get rid of those frequencies. And there we go, we've got some nicer drums than we had before. It's going to be slightly different, but whatever. So this is before. And that's the after. So yeah, it's a lot beefier. We're getting a bit more groove to it, a bit more life to it. Well, a lot more life to it, but still a long way to go yet. This stuff isn't final. I'm not too sure about some of these things, but I thought it'd be a good video to kind of show you how you can bring an old project to life with everything that you've learned as you've gone, because we never stop learning. You're only going to get better, and some of these projects that you might have done a year or two ago are probably good. Like, you've got some good ideas in there and they're worth holding on to, and they're worth revisiting at a later date. So I defo recommend doing that, even if it's all in one DAW. You don't have to do the step of, you know, stemming everything out, although it does make things a bit simpler for you. You don't have to worry about the processing you already had on it. You can just stem it out and then basically start from scratch with those sounds as if they're samples. And yeah, I hope that video was useful to you. I do want to continue with this project, so I may have that as the next video. Leave a comment if you want to see anything else. Like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. Go follow me on Instagram too. It's HeyDanUK. That's where I post all my latest updates. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.